let's talk about Wednesday Addams, because this is the talk of the town right now. Disclaimer, I am sick this week, so my voice might be a little deeper and raspier. Second disclaimer, if you haven't seen any of the show and will want to, there will be a lot of spoilers, so do not listen to this. Okay. As we enter spooky season, being in September-ween, I wanted to dive into the psychological and life philosophy of Wednesday and debunk some preconceived ideas that she is this negative person when in reality, she's a realist, perhaps a dark realist, to be more distinct. And I wanted to get into her because there's something appealing about the character that a lot of people really find interesting and they like gravitating, not just in the show but in certain subcultures like the Goths. She has this no BS realness to her. Even though it can get a little intimidating and intense, life is also quite intimidating and intense. So let's get into it. At first glance, she has this mysterious creepiness to her. No one can quite figure her out. And funny enough, everyone thinks this goth, moody vibe is gonna fade out after a while, and she's gonna be like everyone else. Not just in this Tim Burton remake, but also in the 93 version, The Addams Family Values with Christina Ricci. Everyone really thinks she'll become more social. Heck, I even thought that she was going to be more social since she's finally in a place where there's a bunch of outcasts, and I'm thinking, why wouldn't she want to engage and feel comfortable to hang out with some of them? You know, participate in activities, engage with her peers, but that doesn't happen. Wednesday doesn't hang out. And when it does, it's only due to either participating for some sort of agenda of making the playing field balanced again, by putting people in their place, by wiping off their smug entitlement off their faces, like the Poe Cup and the Battle for the Campgrounds in Season 2. So that's really interesting. She appreciates a good, fair fight. And that's one of my points, about her being a realist. She appreciates a good, fair fight. And if their opponent plays dirty, which they often do, it's all fair that she does too. See, she is a person who values justice, I'm noticing. And honestly, she might just be an unhinged Libra. But that could just be my projections of being a Libra myself. And that's very telling of how real and straightforward she is. When there's a threat in nature, nature fights back. In Wednesday's dark realism, I notice she appreciates the macabre of life. Unlike many popular societies, she enjoys learning and diving into the more taboo and freeing parts of life. Death. She's very straightforward. And I want to say, death is as real as life can get. And I think in my humble analysis, Wednesday sees the concept of death as real and genuine, while society lacks remembering death. Momento Morti. Let's be honest, we all get wrapped up in the silly little things we do that don't mean that much to us. There's a strength in being sharp-edged rather than well-rounded. You waste less time and energy physically, emotionally, and mentally when you really focus on the things you really value. And these things remind us that we are all mortal in the humblest way possible. And this is what Wednesday teaches us. Forgetting death is like forgetting that we're all going to die one day. So why are you wasting your time on things like people-pleasing, casual conversations, being friends with everyone, even if you don't really like them or even know them? Well, hey, I don't mind a casual conversation sometimes with a stranger, but then again, I am a New Yorker, and sometimes, not always, it can be humanizing, again, just interacting with each other. However, Wednesday knows boundaries, and even if she were to engage with someone, she knows her reasons and purpose too. I mean, look at her quick-witted comments sometimes. She's had to have picked that up somewhere. I feel like Wednesday is advanced in life when it comes to reason, and a lot of adults underestimate her or think she needs to change. Especially Weems, her new spirit guide in this season. And can I just say, I need to say this. I think it was a bad idea making her new guide, because they are very different and they don't get along. They never really see eye to eye, and I wish they would have picked someone who was as intense and serious as her, like Goody, you know? That would have worked out better. But Weems didn't even seem like a raven. Not quite a dove either. I'm not sure exactly what bird would resonate with her, but I think it was all wrong. And I think it was solely for the purpose of causing more drama and stress on Wednesday. She barely helped her throughout the show. I mean, every now and then she did, but it took time for her to even, like, give her answers, because she just seemed so uptight that she spent more time judging her. So I think that was just all wrong. I feel like a better guide, if she were to cross over, was her grandmama. Now that woman is hardcore. She respects Wednesday, and they got along very well. Even when her grandma gave her advice about the psychic powers, she did warn her that it was dangerous. But there's an honesty to these type of people that's unsettling but appreciated. However, I want to bite my tongue with grandmama due to the ending. So let's just focus on Wednesday right now. There's an honesty to her comments that sting, but tend to reflect mirror-like representations of how things really are. And with that being said, I want to show Wednesday Addams as a girl who can really show us an honest way of living. It's not that you have to turn goth, focus on death, and be all creepy and spooky, or even serious. It's about getting to a level of honesty and truth with yourself, and asking what it is you really want out of life before you become this performer and do anything but. I've been asking myself that for the past 3 weeks. Honestly, I've been asking myself that since my early 20s. But the past 3 weeks especially, I've been so picky with what I like and don't. I'll give you a small, mundane example. Skincare. Everyone and their mothers is obsessed with skincare, right? And I figured, as a woman, I guess I should probably moisturize and take care of my body, my skin a little bit better, right? Get one of those body oils or those French body butters or those Korean facial cleansers. So I tried it. I tried it for 3 days exactly. And come to find out, I hate doing this. I hate feeling greasy, I hate feeling sticky, I hate it on my hands, I hate it on my arms, I especially hate applying it and all of it staying on my hands. And I have to scrub it off of them, and I hated making this a part of my morning routine, those 3 days, those 3 torturous days. And guess what? I don't have to, just because everyone is doing it. Instead, if I do go out and I'm wearing shorts or a mini skirt, I now use a spray moisturizer and just spray my legs, rub them together, and boom, they're moisturized, and I didn't have to touch a thing. It's a sensory thing for me, and truthfully, most of my scent, like if you smell me, comes from my hair and the products I use. So I don't care too much about smelling with like body scented lotions or oils. I like feeling dry, not greasy. My body is naturally soft anyway, thankfully. So it really doesn't need any more moisturizer. My face does get dry, and I only put on one moisturizer that leaves it matte anyway, and a sunscreen. That's all I need. That's all I need. And deep down, I knew this. But I gave it a try anyway, because I was watching a bunch of TikToks about skincare and it looked fun. And you know, one thing I love about myself is that I do try a bunch of things to see if I like them. And that's okay. That's okay to try things. You know, it's better to try, I think. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but I feel like it's better to try things than to leave wondering if you did like it. So yeah, I learned that I don't have to contribute to the skincare world culture. That's not my niche. Come to find out, I'm not into a lot of physical traits as something that I like to do. Sometimes I do enjoy like a nice, cute Feeling myself, OOTD, fit check video because I love myself, obviously. I do enjoy health and wellness. I enjoy mental health. I do talk about that quite a lot, especially lately. And that goes into my next thing, actually, when it comes to Wednesday. My next point is that I think if you don't know yourself psychologically, oftentimes it'll be hard to understand the world around you, which is something I noticed that Wednesday did struggle with. And it's kind of a recurring struggle in the following season too. Whether she cares about it or not, she's always gonna somehow interact with others. And it's good to at least know a bit about human psychology and maybe even sociology. Yes, it's obvious the world has a lot of posers, but sometimes things aren't always black and white, and I do believe it is wise to at least know and understand the people around you or protect yourself away from them. Maybe it could be a side quest for Wednesday. As a mental health advocate, I do like how the show introduced therapy to her in the first season. But I noticed she learned way more about others and herself as she continued getting to know her classmates. There was a lot of growth to her, especially with her roommate Enid, bless her heart, beginning to understand the strength of being vulnerable instead of seeing it as a weakness. I believe there is a time and place for both. For sure. You know what I also really love about Wednesday is that even though she is who she is, when she gets taught about kindness and compassion and the benefits of it, like when she switched places with Enid, she admitted to seeing power in that. A strong power that, she can't even fathom. Her quiet strength, as she mentioned, was something she underestimated and regretted underestimating, but also clocked her when she said she needs to stop trying so hard for people who just don't deserve her kindness and mistake it for weakness. So when truth bomb spills, she recognizes it. It might take her a while to process and digest some of these more softer truths, but she doesn't downplay it. She doesn't deny it, She gives respect and props where it's deserved. So I'm really curious how season 3 is gonna come up, because I noticed near the end of season 2, she starts to really understand and respect Enid and Agnes too, which is nuts. I'm wondering how she's gonna treat people now. Will it still have a distance, or will she have more of a casual conversation? I don't know, I'm just talking out my ass. But anyways, moving forward, I want to say I always knew the character Wednesday from the Addams family had a lot of very interesting real truths, values, and morals to her. And I really appreciated the show making it solely about her and showing how much she does know about the world for a teenager and people and how she carries herself. It's refreshing having an interesting take for the youth to see and hopefully embody living honestly and authentically to yourself. That also includes if you're family. Cough, cough, Morticia. She doesn't always agree with the way she goes about things, but that is a family therapy conversation for another time. This is the very first time that Wednesday is seen as a teenager, and teenagers are always rebelling against her family, so I found it very interesting trying to make Morticia still very light and open while struggling with her teen daughter. Come to think of it, Wednesday is like any other child too. She just wants to be loved the way that she is by her parents. And as Enid came to find out during the switch, Wednesday is scared that her mother will only see her as the disappointment she'll never want to speak of, like her aunt. Real. Because notice that everyone else in the family is pretty cheerful, but the ones that Morticia doesn't talk about or isn't fond of is like her mother, who is just like Wednesday, but older, and her aunt Ophelia. And that's a scary thing to realize and probably pushes her mom away often before her mother does it to her. Also, I might be reaching, but I would like to say I feel like Morticia is not a girl's girl. I don't know, in this show. because she kind of talks badly about every woman that comes near her, even Weems. And Weems is bitter about that, like how she always took opportunities away from her, and she said how much of a tryhard she was, even if she was. Like, damn, how do you speak ill of the dead or like a friend like that who went to school with you, you know? I'm starting to think Weems had a reason to not like Morticia. It's like sometimes this Morticia plays clueless while still radiating that sensual energy, and she's always around men too. Like, I always see her with her husband, which is like obvious, you know, that they're known to be inseparable, Pugsley and Lurch, and she's her most happiest there. But you can see how uncomfortable, worried, and slightly annoyed she is when she's around her female family members. So I don't know. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this new version of Morticia, because something does feel off about her, in my opinion. And I've always loved the Morticias of the other versions, but it really bugs me when a woman has this sort of behavior that it's kind of like a sensual Marilyn Monroe who plays clueless and her being surrounded by men. It's the cluelessness for me. Like, she even admitted that she runs the show, but she makes it seem like her husband does, you know? I don't know. I don't like when women play dumb. It's 2025. Anyway, back to Wednesday. I completely understand why she keeps her mom at a distance, because at least she would have the upper hand of dropping her before she could drop Wednesday. Can I be honest? This is just my personal opinion, but I feel like the mom doesn't teach a lot. She's not a good teacher. Again, I think it's the adults in general. They kind of suck at like being good role models for Wednesday, and I feel like Wednesday clocks them, because come to find out, they end up having way more dirty secrets that Wednesday just ends up digging up, and it's only the second season. Once again, this ends up being a whole plot about mothers and fathers that once went to Nevermore and are coming back again with a vengeance and finishing up what they started. Like, the more she stays in that school, the more she digs up about her mom and dad's past, and that it's very secretive and murky, and it's not just a beautiful love story like they believe to think so delusionally. They have skeletons in their closet, so I feel like they're not the best example to teach Wednesday about being more light. Also, I have to say, and you can definitely tell me if I'm just not understanding this type of humor, but sometimes Morticia's wit makes no sense, especially in the first season. Wednesday literally insults her, telling her that she has no heart, and she finds that as like a nice word to say to her. Like, what is Morticia's philosophy? It just doesn't make sense. I feel like if they wanted to make Morticia light and loving, they should have just kept her with her husband and let Wednesday kind of be her chaotic self all on her own, kind of like they did in the 90s version. Morticia gave a lot more freedom to the Wednesday there. Meanwhile, the Morticia in this version is much more restrictive to Wednesday. So I think Wednesday's best lessons about learning that kindness can be a strength is literally through her peers. And I'm not saying they have it all together and that they're any more honest to themselves than their parents are. There's a lot that they need to work on too, and a lot of their life philosophy is flawed too, contradicting. But I feel like as they all kind of grow together, they're all learning how to be more genuine and real people like Wednesday. How it's okay to ask for help like Bianca. How to forgive like Ajax. And how to recognize your inner quiet strength like Enid. Cue the Breakfast Club soundtrack. Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me. Wow, what an episode. A lot of fun talking about this. I really nerded out. I really dived pretty deep. This was really fun. Happy spooky season, Venus Angels. I hope you are all able to continue working on yourselves, living an honest life for you, and that's kind of what I wanted to get out with this episode, and also just Fangirl Wednesday. Again, I want to stress it because I feel like culture only thinks there's one way to be so honest, and it's to like excommunicate yourself from everyone and be this creepy, gloomy goth person, or I don't know, just like do all that. And like there was a similar representation in the movie of 28 Years Later with that guy, I think it was Voldemort, Dr. Ian Kelson, Ralph. I don't want to butcher his last name, but it starts with an F, Ralph F. About like, you know, to be real and to remember death, Momento Morti, you kind of have to like leave from society and live on your own type of thing, which is kind of similar to what Wednesday does. She doesn't like, you know, conversate, hang out with people like that. But to me, the point of living an honest life, it's more about knowing who you are, your real truths of your own life, your real wants, your real desires, if you have any, and going that path, being that honest version of yourself for yourself, not anyone else, not your partner, not your parents, not your siblings, not your friends. It's you. And as someone who's starting to live their life that way, I did lose a lot of people too, but it made my life so much lighter. Again, if you've been keeping up with me, you'll know that I don't really have a lot of problems anymore. There's no impending anxieties in my life. I don't have to send essay paragraphs to anyone or explain myself. And I have real, healthy, consistent friendships now. I have a better relationship with my parents. I'm being quite consistent with content creating, so that should definitely say something. And I cry less. So show up, honestly, with yourself. You won't regret it. And that is all I have for you today, angels. If you like this episode, please give it a black heart and follow or subscribe for more episodes on Spotify and YouTube. My TikTok and YouTube is at Augustin Venus. Instagram is My Life with Johanna. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much again. My name is Johanna, also go by August, here at the Cove, and this is Venus Cove, signing off. Until next time, Venus Angels.